wear off quickly, right? So these are the challenges that we've been, seeing over the last few years. So for us, right, over the next 1 year, we felt we needed to establish a bunch of things and try multiple things to ensure we stay relevant, ensure that we are there with the customers there in a very passive way, but not in your face, but also ensuring that I somehow matter to you in the larger scheme of things, right? So the first thing that we did when we had to recraft what our brand stood for, we looked at, fine, let's get a face on board and see if that's going to kind of work, right? And that started with the onboarding of Hardik Pandya, who is a well-known cricketer for us, and he kind of embodied the rebel, mad character that we as a brand stood for as well, right? And we launched the phone X5 Pro with him, which also supported the 778G Qualcomm chipset, one of the best chipsets in that segment that's ever seen, right? Great device, did really well for us. And this is the point where we actually started seeing that searches on the Flipkart platform started going up, so we knew something's working out. And the next thing, we felt the one thing that probably defines a brand today is people. If people don't want you, you don't exist, right? So we felt, how do we keep our community and fans closer to us with every launch, right? So we were the first brands to ensure that before the launch of a product, we actually get fans to review our devices and get them a real-time feel of what it is like to review. And proud to be seeing them here. They're seated here as well, right? So Poco fans have, kind of been with us more in our tough times than in our best times, right? And that's something that's priceless to us. And yeah, performed under pressure, right? So again, here we spoke about being relevant. I'm sure everyone in the room would have seen a cred ad, right? And a lot of marketers started, going back to the brief and telling agencies, saying, hey, make me a cred ad, right? But the brief was, during IPL, humor worked really well. And for one of our products, last year, the Poco F5, we had probably the best Snapdragon chipset in that segment, and we were the first to launch it in the country. But we didn't want to sell you a product. We wanted to sell you an emotion, right? So here's a video I'll play for you. You'll get to understand how emotional benefits and humor is taken in a very well manner for a smartphone product.
Do you get it? Come again?
Performance under pressure. It's all cool with Poco F5.
So here we are giving you a great product, right? But how do we keep it cool under pressure? So we wanted to promote vapor chamber cooling as one of the features here, and that's how we kind of showed it in a humorous manner, right? So we are not trying to sell you just a feature in those 20 seconds. So this is one of the ways that we tried, and the view-through rates on YouTube were great for this, right? So content still continues to deliver. And continuing with one of the other insights that we learned is, how do I continue to live in the moment in a very consistent manner, right? And some of you might have seen this. So to me, it's a lifetime moment, right? Getting SRK to have a phone in the movie Jawan created a lot of ruptures for us in the market as well, and it got a lot of talking points, right? So again, moment marketing at its best. So we did this. We did a bunch of other integrations with a bunch of movies. But again, one of our earlier talk points was, how do I stay passively integrated throughout the year? There are generally two large interest groups in the country today. There's cricket, and then there's entertainment. Entertainment subsets into Bollywood, music, and so on, right? So cricket matches are happening throughout the year. So we felt, instead of maybe sponsoring a team, why don't we just be passively present in the stadiums, right? So everybody watching a match will keep seeing Poco on a recurring basis, right? So again, we are not just looking at short-term bursts, we are looking at a long-term approach as well, right? And with that, we also looked at seeing, how do I start, being relevant in associations that matters to Gen Z, right? So through a bunch of research and from our own team, who grew up from the millennial era, we felt that MTV was one such platform that did justice to millennials, with the whole Roadies and Hero Honda association that still comes to my mind, right? When I went to college, I told my dad I want a Hero Honda bike. Ultimately, I got a Platina. That's a different thing. But the associations were built so relevantly over the past year, so we felt music is the #1 thing that's kind of growing today and will continue to. Underground rap is a very selective scene that Gen Z prefers, so hence Hustle happened, right? So we did a bunch of really cool associations with them being the title sponsor of the show as well. And over a span of 3 months, we had multiple artists work for Poco, create an anthem for the community, and so on, right? And towards the end of the year, that was in December, we had a series of products launching under the X portfolio for Poco, which till date has been known only for performance, right? And for this, apart from doing the regular stuff, we wanted to see what's that one big thing that we can do that will get watched by the entire country so that people will know Poco. So I'll just play the video for you.
आप लोगों ने कोई फोन नहीं पकड़ा होगा 3 महीने से डोंट वरी पोको ने लॉन्च किया एक नया फोन पोको X6 Pro और ये आपके लिए भी है स्टोर रूम से ले आइए और उन्हें अनबॉक्स कीजिए और मैं लूंगा हम सबकी सेल्फी ये Poco X6 Pro. Wow.
So again, a lot of people would ask us, how would you measure the success of an association such as this, right? So this association where Mr. Khan was asked to take out the phone, probably take a selfie or do whatever is cool, right? Again, over here, you will see we haven't really told him, tell me XYZ feature, market the price. No. Just bring in the moment in a very casual manner that people actually watch and don't drop off. Don't make it seem like an ad, right? And at 9:30 on 7th Jan, this integration hit the TVs. At around 10 o'clock, we saw the Google Trends spike up. So we know that people saw the association and then people immediately started searching. Continuing with our Challenger outlook, we also got Poco integrated in the fighter movie, wherein Deepika Padukone and her team were seen holding the phone in a bunch of scenes and pivotal moments of the movie as well, right? So if you look at all this, we've kind of tried to do many first, right? And that kind of set the tone for what we wanted to do in Jan. And one of the things was we had the global debut of Dimensity 8300 Ultra, right? A chipset that kind of redefined, what great Antutu scores are in that segment, and that was, one of our biggest talking points for the X6 Pro. We also brought in the first HyperOS phone into the country, right? And we had some great panels earlier on AI, right? So we were speaking about, kind of integrating, smart home and devices. This software integrates car, smartphone, and devices. So practically a software that helps you run a car globally is on your phone, right? And of course, at multiple touchpoints, multiple devices, there are certain features that will be accessible to you. So X6 Pro, again, was the first device to launch with Xiaomi HyperOS. And While Boost Optimization 2.0, which was one of our proprietary softwares again, right? It kind of gives your gaming experience a completely different boost than any other phone can in the segment. Right now, it's the most powerful phone in the segment. And again, feedback from fans, right? We meet them almost on a yearly basis. And this was one feedback that we kept getting, saying that, hey, none of your devices have in-fingerprint sensors, right? So the entire X6 Pro and the X6 base variant had an in-fingerprint sensor at the launch. So that is something we've brought in to our portfolio. So if I have to look back at our overall portfolio for X series, right? Over the last 4 or 5 years, you started with the X3 Pro, you had the X4, you had the X5 Pro last year with the 778G, which almost was a record-breaking phone for us, right? So that kind of sets the bar for what X series is as a performance-centric phone, right? Now, what we were looking to do this year, and this is purely coming from great insight from our partners at Flipkart, is that at each price point, people are looking for different features, and performance is not the only thing you should have, right? So they defined saying that, hey, if you're bringing in a 25K phone, these are the must-haves. If you're doing something at 20K, these are the must-haves. If you're doing something at 15K, these are the must-haves, right? So that kind of set the tone for us from a product point of view as to what are the things we need to bring in. So the X6 Pro, I'll quickly take you through the features. Some of you have already seen it. The Ultra chipset debuted with this, had a Antutu score of 1.4 million. Great performance, clubbed with the While Boost optimization did really well for us as well. We also had UFS 4.0, right? So this is a feature you'll probably only see in segments above 40 to 45K. So again, what you see in like a really premium phone is something we brought it at a price point of 25K. Now again, great performance, great. But how do you ensure that you keep a great performance device under pressure and ensure that liquid cooling technology brings in that comfort to the madness that the phone delivers? And the colors, again, Poco Yellow has been our identity so far. So we've kind of continued to ensure that X series will always continue to have the X series, the yellow phone. But also this time we brought in the vegan leather in the X series for the first time, right? So that was a first for us again. And if you look at the other features, display has always been a place that Poco has like really well focused on, right? So 1.5K, first time ever on the display for Poco with 68 billion colors. And again, you need great protection. So Corning Gorilla Glass brings in that advantage as well. So you don't have to worry about dropping your phone and worrying about multiple scratches. And clubbed with Dolby Vision, and you've got Dolby Atmos as well, backed with 1,800 nits. So you don't have to worry about watching probably a sitcom or a movie outside in the hot sun, right? It will not reflect. It will give you the same viewing experience probably in the most corner place of the room. You've got dual stereo speakers, so for those who don't want to plug in with their TWSs, it still gives you the same surround experience provided where you're seated with the whole Vision Express as well. So overall, if you look at the camera setup, right, so this is one thing I wanted to touch upon, right? So our F5 last year had a 64 MP OIS camera, which our X series never sported till date. So we've brought in F series features into the X6 series as well. So it features the triple camera. It's got optical image stabilization, which helps you create great static images even when there's minimal movement. And with all of this, you need a great battery and good charging support to take you through the day, or probably two in certain cases, right? So you've got the 5,000 mAh battery. Yes, it takes you to a day or two, depending on how you use it. In case you run out of juice, in case you're going to probably game through the day, the charger will probably help you recharge in 45 minutes. So overall, if you look at a device so powerful, it also helps you get through the day, ensures that the heating doesn't happen. So ensure that you've got performance on steroids, but it's kept under cool and also rechargeable in a very quick manner. While boost optimization is something we spoke about, our proprietary software globally to ensure that whenever you game, right, you get that extra juice to ensure that your gaming experience is the best. And I'll take you through a little bit about what Xiaomi HyperOS can do for you. One of the main things that we felt when we got Xiaomi HyperOS out was to ensure that how do I bring in performance, great connectivity, and security all together, right? And keep in mind that this is a software that's kind of used in a car, right? So that's the level of superiority that goes into building a software such as this. One of the things that we focus on is to ensure that there's great smoothness and good power efficiency, so that kind of helps balance out the output that your chipset gives you. You've also got good visual rendering. So if some of the guys who have the X6 Pro here will know that on how this looks on the weather app. But I think one of my favorites is this whole real simulation of light and shadow effects on a glass texture, and how that kind of translates into multiple lock screen skins, right? Again, bringing customization back, which one of our main feedbacks were from the Poco fans. And again, a bunch of AI features. We've also started our journey in that, yes, AI cams existed, but from a software editing point of view, we've also brought in features wherein you can edit certain things in the background as well. Hidden apps is another thing. A lot of times, people have complained saying that once I hide an app, my effort to go and unhide that back is at least by 2 levels of user journey. We've reduced that to just 1 level of user journey by just helping you pinch and zoom. Fingerprint animations are also now customizable with the HyperOS on the X6 Pro. So that's all about the X6 Pro. It's a very powerful device in its segment, probably the most in terms of power efficiency. And now you've got the X6, right? Again, like I mentioned earlier, our partners told us at each segment there is a bunch of things that you will look into, right? So in X6, we felt that you needed a great combination of probably the best display and the best processor in that segment. And that's where Qualcomm comes in, right? So they have this chipset called the 7S Gen 2, which is giving you almost an Antutu score of 700K while we record 640. It depends on multiple conditions that you game in, right, with a 4 nanometer chipset. And along with this, you needed great designs to back it, because design is the second level of preference for people buying in the segment under 20K. So we had the Snowstorm White, which was one of our hot-selling colors for the F5, which we launched almost a year back. And black is always classic, so we retained that to ensure that people prefer what is already out there. And overall, if you looked at the display, you have a big display with 120 hertz adaptive refresh rate. You've got 1800 nits brightness, 68 billion colors, all of which is borrowed from the X6 Pro. So there's no, what I would like to pay attention here to is there's no level of undercutting, right? What I'm giving you in a Pro is pretty much brought down to its base variant, which least minimal cuts. You've got the whole Dolby surround with the dual stereo speakers, the vision support. You've got the OIS camera again. What I gave you earlier, probably in the F series, bringing down to the Pro, and now bringing it down to the base variant. So we're ensuring that more and more features accessible at a higher price point is now available at a much lower one as well. So ensuring that the customer gets more for what they pay. And the battery, again, gets a boost from the Pro version here. The Pro version has the 5000 mAh battery. Here you've got the 5100 mAh battery, with other features such as Bluetooth 5.4, IR Blaster, the update for 3+4. That is an ask always that we've had to ensure that you take it from 3+2 to 3+4. So that's something we fixed as well. The headphone jack remains because this segment requires people using wired headphones as well. So that was the X6. Now, coming to our latest category entrant, which we just launched a couple of weeks back, the X6 Neo, right? Now, this is a very tricky category. At 15K, you need to ensure that you give people the best of all worlds to ensure that there is no room left unturned to ensure all features are there within a price budget. So we ensure that we pitch this phone to our audience as a lifestyle product and not just as a, a performance device. So one is, this is the slimmest Poco ever. So to ensure that aesthetically it looks good on you, wherever you keep it in your pockets, or your left cheek, or your back cheek, or wherever it fits well, probably in your handbag as well, right? Also, it clicks great pictures. At 15K, we are giving you a device with a 108 MP camera with 3x lossless zoom. So that means for people who love clicking pictures, it does that job as well. And bezel-less display, this is my favorite, right? Like, bezels sometimes spoil the whole user experience on the frontal part of the device, right? So this ensures that across the entire device, there is no room for any body interfering with your screen. So which means when you're viewing anything, when you're viewing a movie, the entire screen is to yourself, right? And that is something people enjoy today. And if you look at the screen-to-body ratio, that's practically almost a 94%. And the main thing is the display, right? So there's a huge gap between the LCD and AMOLED display, what the market offers today. So we've ensured that we give you an AMOLED display with 120 hertz refresh rate as well, right? To ensure your content streaming experience is all at its level best. So that gives you an idea of what it's like to have an LCD and an AMOLED screen. And yes, it comes in really cool colors. Black is classic. We've got the Martian orange. We've got the Neo Cool. So that was it about Poco. A mad ride of the last 6 years. We've had our ups and downs, and we are now on an up and hoping to continue on that with your support. And I'm hoping I made somewhat sense to your post-lunch session. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Well, hello and welcome to this session on a topic this is about AI, and let's talk about redefining our relationship with the device permanently attached to our hip. AI and smartphones, the perfect combo. Our smartphones have become an extension of ourselves. They're photo studios, productivity powerhouses, and sometimes even our emergency access to pizza. But what if they could evolve into something even more? AI is subtly weaving itself into the fabric of our smartphones, from facial recognition to AI-powered cameras that capture stunning portraits, even with shaky hands. But is this a marriage made in tech heaven, or are there potential bugs in the system? Our esteemed panel of experts may just have the answers for you today. We have Counterpoint representing the market analysis side of the equation, Qualcomm and Poco giving us the manufacturer's perspective, and IDC providing valuable consumer insight. So let's see if AI and smartphones are designed to be the ultimate dream team. Let's have, our panel with us. We have Saurabh Arora joining us, from head of mobile compute XR, business lead from Qualcomm. We also have Himanshu Tandon, country head of Poco India, joining us on the panel today. And of course, we have Sharan Pillai, senior manager, marketing Flipkart. joining us. Let's have them on stage. And let's get Tarun back on stage as well. Tarun Potter, Counterpoint Research, back with us.
Thank you so much. Cool. Thank you, Divya. Back again. Things are settled? Okay. So I would like to call on stage Mr. Saurabh Arora, Head of Mobile Compute XR Business Lead, Qualcomm India, Mr. Himanshu Tandon, Country Head, Poco India, and Mr. Sharan Pillai, Senior Manager, Marketing, Flipkart. Hi. How are you doing? Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. Cool. I think let's make this more exciting and more engaging with the audience. I think this is one of the sessions where everyone is looking forward to AI, right? It's been the buzzword, and again, like we at Counterpoint, we are tracking this space very closely. I think it has been over a decade, right, when Qualcomm started work on it, like, and now we are seeing this market really happening in a big way. To put things into context in terms of numbers right now, we have close to how much, like 152 million smartphones that are being sold every year in India. Close to, like, if we talk about in terms of numbers, in terms of AI, we are less than 1%. The true AI smartphones, which are more flagship, Gen AI capabilities. But I think the essence of this lies more towards future. What is going to happen, and what are the use cases? Like, is it an area where the positives will outweigh the negatives? I think we have a very interesting panel here, right from the supply chain, chipset maker, Qualcomm is here. Then we have a device maker from Poco, and then obviously from the channel side of things. So I think we will be able to connect the dots between how these phones are being produced versus who is bringing them and how it is being coming closer to the audience. So let me start with you, Saurabh. I think we have discussed this a lot of time, right? What are the real use cases? So I think the topic of this discussion is about the combo, AI and the smartphone. What do you think? Is it a perfect combo, or is it something which is happening 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, or something in the future?
You know, I believe there will be a paradigm shift how we, use our phones, smartphones especially. There are multiple use cases now coming in. The latest chipset, what we have, Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, is, I always say, it's truly a titan of AI. We started working on this chipset keeping solely AI, in mind. That 8 Gen 3 is capable of running, AI models up to 10 billion parameters.
Right.
20 tokens per second, which is never heard of. It's the
Which
fastest
is super
in the
fast.
industry.
Like average human can read almost like 7, right?
And then it can do up to 45 tops. When we say tops, 45 trillion operations per second. I mean, there has been change. There are new use cases, getting developed every day. We at Qualcomm has announced Qualcomm AI Hub. So basically enabling ecosystem. We always believed in democratizing the tech.
Yes.
So on that, if you go on Qualcomm AI Hub, you will, as a developer, you can register yourself. It's kind of a Play Store where you can, develop your models and come and train on our chipset, which are AI capable.
Okay.
So we have different capabilities across the chipsets. Like 8 Gen 3 can run up to 10 billion parameters. The earlier generation 8 Gen 2, if I remember correctly, it can support up to 3 billion parameters. What kind of models models you want to run, or what kind of apps you want to play on, you can go register yourself, plug and play, and you can optimize your models, train your models.
Right. So the devices are going to be very powerful in a sense, which will basically host these models and everything. Let us go from a device perspective. Himanshu, are your consumers looking forward to this trend, or how they are interacting? Like I think in one of your presentation, they mentioned about Gen Z, right?
Yeah.
And you have that audience connect with them. How are you seeing that uptake happening from the Gen AI perspective?
So if you see the trend in the market, right, and there are different waves. When few years back there was a camera wave when we introduced
Yeah.
48 MP camera, 64 MP camera. Last year was a 5G wave. Now all the smartphone makers, I think a lot of brands are focusing on R&D investment in AI. Specifically, if you see from a hardware perspective, there is very minimal optimization that you can do right now. So it is basically the experience that we are going to the customers that is going to create that kind of a difference. So from a AI perspective, I think this wave is going to revolutionize the entire smartphone industry. From a use cases point of view, since we are also deeply involved in perfecting our OS, HyperOS system and integrating AI into it, right? And so there are certain use cases that we are focusing on right now. One is basically how do you improve the camera technology
Right.
through AI, through image detection, improve the camera performance as the overall object detection. So how do you improve the overall camera capability through AI modules? Second focus area for us is from an AI perspective is battery optimization. That your smartphone should be intelligent enough to allocate the battery into the right spaces so that there is a better battery utilization from an overall smartphone perspective. Third key focus area is since Poco is a performance-oriented brand,
Yeah.
how do you increase the performance by allocating right set of memory to right programs
Right.
and increasing the overall performance? For example, if we are playing a game, how do you optimize the performance to that particular use case? So these are the few changes we are also trying to make from an overall perspective. So AI is not only restricted to having flashy apps in the mobile
Correct.
ecosystem, but how do you make the overall experience of the smartphone better?
Yeah.
That is, I think, we are focusing
So
on from an R&D
AI has a
perspective.
lot of role to play in the background, and then
Exactly,
you have front-end
exactly.
use cases as
Yes.
well. Sharon, what's your take on same like?
See, it's been 3 years for Flipkart. I'm handling this mobiles category. What I observed is there are there are 3 to 4 segments which you need to focus, especially in this mobile category in India. Three of it is already mentioned, like display, battery, camera. These are the three features in Indian audiences are very much keen to look into. Apart from, there is a set of cohort who have a, especially like a hardcore gamers or those kind of cohorts who are into performance-driven handset, which again is catered by Poco.
Right.
So my take over this is when it comes to bringing out AI, it should again meet the requirement of the customer, what they are looking for. Like these are the scenarios in which customer is looking. And if you see recently there was one mobile phone launched, Samsung S24, which was again inbuilt with the AI tech. And we could see most of the units getting sold was from offline stores for Samsung,
Correct.
like more than 85-90%. And then this again comes out a narrative like users want to experiment, they want to purchase this, but again with a reliable brands, which like a loyalist. Those are the cohorts which are actually looking for this AI at this moment when there is already a brand established. And eventually, I would say there will be many other aggregators who will be joining this race with coming up with an innovation in handset,
Right.
leveraging the AI. Yeah.
Correct. So interesting. So we were discussing this internally again, and there is a very interesting hypothesis that is going on is 20 years back how search started, right? Google was when you want to search anything on the web, right? Now your phone is so powerful that you need to search on your phone. It's such a vast directory of your daily, day-to-day lifestyle. So what we are assuming that all these days, phones, we were getting used to our phones. We were getting connected to our phones. We are changing our personality as per our devices. But the next 10 years, the phones will be more personalized as per our preferences. Like my phone will behave in a very different way as I have the data on my phone, or the similar device will behave very differently while it is with you or you on that. So I think, and to that point, someone asked me a very interesting question, like, in 5 years from now onwards, whether it is going to be very difficult to tell whether these use cases are AI generated. Are we entering into a era where it is very difficult to differentiate between a fakeness or a reality, right? Like I say, the positives may outweigh the negatives. What is your take? So we are still sticking to the use case point of view, because on an average, when we go to the consumers, they say, okay, AI is good. What is it that is bringing for me? You mentioned about very interesting back-end use cases. But the front-end use cases, for example, Samsung just introduced Circle to search, right? And then we have live translation that is happening over the call. I think that can be a great use case. Then you have even, I think that was from Qualcomm, you have AI that helps you to amplify your signals, right? So you have a better signal on your phone. And at the same time, you have chat assist. The particular phone knows what you are going to type. So again, sticking to the use case, where you think the future is, are we entering into a world where it's very difficult to differentiate between the reality, or whether there will be meaningful use cases developing out of it?
I think every technology or everything has
Yeah.
a pros and cons. So let's focus on the pros. In AI, talking about use case, right? You talked about use case related to photo generation. So
Yeah.
stable diffusion, right? If I talk about stable diffusion, you can generate pictures under 1 second, right? You have to just give a text what you want to visualize, so it will create for you,
Correct.
which is very helpful for all the creators who are sitting here. I mean, it's easy to explain also, right?
Right.
If I want to have a video, right, you can do that, or I would say. I was talking to someone, right? I mean, we have bunch of PDFs running into 500 pages.
Correct.
If you want to find a particular thing, there are models who will summarize that 500 pages for you. And if you want to ask particular question, it will give you an answer. You don't have to read 500 pages. There are legal documents running into thousands of pages. You can't read all
Yeah,
those
we all
1,000
do
pages.
those accept all terms and conditions.
Yeah, I mean, even if you
someone-
search Control F,
Yeah.
maybe type a word processor, it will give you maybe 500 processors. Then again, you have to go and read each word, what it where it is attached to. But with the AI, I mean, these kind of application make your life very easy.
Yeah, discovery of the content becomes even more easier, saves a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, the other use case is photo expansion. If you have created a picture, right, like cameraman is clicking my picture, only this, and if I want to expand, it can expand also.
Right.
So there are multiple use cases where developers are working on.
Right.
Now we have that processor has that capability. It's just a matter of time. You'll see multiple use cases coming in the market.
And that's where your Qualcomm developer ecosystem comes
Yeah.
into picture. I think
That's where we have invested on Qualcomm AI Hub. We are
Interesting.
enabling the developer ecosystem.
So Himanshu, coming to you, like we have heard about the use cases from a brand perspective, because the end goal of you is to connecting to your audience, right? So you are the closest in the value chain when it comes to the audience. What are the use cases you are seeing that are more heavier than the others? Like you think are going to be more faster adopted in the phones in coming time?
Sure. From a use cases point of view, I think across the brand, one thing is image processing that I've already mentioned. That Samsung, you mentioned about our competitor Samsung has also introduced that in the latest phone, right?
Right.
Second is security. Security is also one other important aspect. So facial recognition algorithms can be optimized and can be strengthened so that the security is tight enough in the device. That is one area of focus area for us also in the near future. But I would like to mention there are certain challenges. It's not that easy to transform into an overall AI experience. Right?
Correct.
So there has to be a seamless integration between a hardware and a software layer to basically make these things happen. That's why I mentioned in my earlier answer that R&D, most of the brands are investing in R&D.
Yeah.
There are certain proprietary algorithms,
Correct.
right, which are difficult to implement, and since they are proprietary, right? So very difficult for all the brands to replicate also. So these are a few of the challenges. Secondly, making changes in the Android ecosystem also, right? That is also a certain challenge that we generally brands face. So that's why creating that kind of algorithms on your own, creating that proprietary software on your own, that is, I think, brand like us, our group is focusing on, and focusing on HyperOS as an experience. Is that what we're focusing on. So these are basically some of the challenges and some of the use cases that we foresee, and significant amount of time and investment is going into enhancing the AI capabilities, because that will certainly serve as a differentiator in the market moving forward, where people are moving from only a hardware specs perspective to an experience value buying, right?
Yeah.
So
you mentioned about security, right? And so again, to your point, when we are saying about AI use cases, the processing, everything is on the device, right? So we are talking about hybrid AI going forward, where will be some of the processing capabilities will be on the device, and some of the not so important will be on the cloud. Where you think the entire Gen AI landscape will be? Is it on the device for the security perspective, or is it more mix of both going forward?
I think it will be gonna be the next wave is on Gen AI on device, keeping your stuff private, personalized, not leaving your smartphone. That's very important. Just give an example. Qualcomm Sensing Hub, right? It's contextually aware about what you do. So as I've been telling an example, you get up every day. You get up 7 a.m. in the morning. You go for a run, right? Your phone knows what you're gonna do. But there are background apps which you run. Before a jog, you open a Google Fit maybe, right? So for every app, to get your precise location, you at least need 4 GPS satellite precision to give you a precise location before you start your run. So your device knows, so it's ready. So 7 o'clock, it will have that data because you go for a run, your location is there, what apps you use, what music you listen, all those personalized things can be enabled, and it makes your life easy, more personalized.
Yeah, so it's more like predictive analytics on the device, which is going to save you a lot of time. On an average, I think there are empirical studies that suggest that we spend close to like 5 hours a day on our device. And if we use the AI in a right way, we might be able to navigate some of these daily activities 1 hour faster than what we are currently doing. To that point...
Sorry, it's more important that your data is not leaving your phone.
Phone, exactly.
It's more private.
Yeah. So Sharon, again, while being the platform where consumers are reacting to the purchases and want to understand these devices even better, I think Himanshu mentioned about the hardware side of things. Obviously, your device needs to be powerful. If everything is happening on the device, you need a faster processing capability. You need a bigger RAM. You need a battery that is fully optimized. You need a Wi-Fi, which is like advanced. So do you think that will impact the overall BOM of the phone, and going forward, the devices will be more costlier?
Even I had this concern, if the cost is getting higher, whether the AI will be only built for premium segment. That's even internal debate was happened. Like because there is a huge hype for the 15 to 20K price segment at this moment. And if most of the brands, what they are coming up with this AI product is mostly from about 25K. So again, wanted to know, like, if the cost will be a challenge, then will the aggregator will be limited to only those premium segments, or whether there will be some period of time in which it will be inbuilt for some other lower end mobile phones or not. I would like to know from you guys. Yeah.
So Himanshu, what's your take on that?
Yeah, in the short term, obviously, since it's a new technology, same case happened with 5G phones when 5G phones were launching at 20,000, and then it were brought down to 15,000, and we were the first brand to launch a 5G phone under 10K, right? And with Snapdragon itself, right? 4 Gen 2 processor. So eventually, the cost will come down. But in the initial few years, since everyone is trying to perfect the technology, a large amount of investment, R&D investment, will going into perfecting the entire technology. And once that is being accepted, and that is being accepted by a wider audience, through economies of scale, I believe that it will definitely come down, because that's eventually that we want to, if we want all the basically our users to get that experience at each price bracket.
Right. And I think talking about cost, like sort of SoC, processor is like a critical element of the phone, almost like 20% of the BOM, bills of material of a phone. To massification of this AI diffusing towards the lower price tier. So I'm not saying like from premium we make it entry. What's the role Qualcomm is playing in that?
Look, we are not limiting the AI to a premium tier. As you know, our latest announced chipset, 7 Gen 3, we have the better AI capabilities, right, coming down from 800 tier. Obviously, the prices of, we don't define the pricing, you know, or we just define the pricing of a chip, not the overall phone, but, you know, we are bringing down the capabilities down to 700 tier. It's not, I mean, AI is there, we are using the AI across, right, in camera. Let me give you an example of a AI denoising. It's a tech in a camera. When you click a low light photograph, so AI removes the noise of your low light pictures, giving you a sharper and brighter picture. So AI is not limiting to a 800 tier or a premium tier. It's coming down as well.
Interesting. And what's the time period we are looking at, like, let's say 1 year, 2 year down the line, or is it too early to say that?
Look, we are already having a AI tech in our 700 series.
Okay.
Right. So we are not far. It's not limited to 8. We are in March. We already have in 700 here. Okay. It's a matter of time.
So
it will
not
come
too
down.
far. Not too far. Interesting. I think let me take a pause here, and we are talking about use cases. We have spoken a bit on the, let's say, back-end use cases where your battery is becoming more powerful, the camera, image processing, neural language processing. And then we have front-end use cases we mentioned about, like, let's say, more advanced search on the phones, chat assist. We have live translation. Is there any use case? Let me hand it over to our audience. Is there anything else you want your AI phone to do with? Any use case you want to add? Anyone? I think there were some interesting comments from the last session. I'm not sure like if it is the impact of the lunch or so. So any use case that comes to your mind on AI, maybe from the Poco community? I think, Ankit, you want to say something on the AI use case? Copywriting? Okay, that's one, interesting. So gentleman on your right is thinking a lot. Anything else? Image generation. Okay, cool. So I think, again, the copywriting, I think you mentioned, right, which is very interesting. Like, we have all those apps where we accept the privacy setting just without reading. Someone was telling me, like, even like within a year, you'll have that prompt coming up. This is the key takeaway of it, right? And then your lives will be more easier going forward. Another thing is we have this memory on our device, which is like people are clicking a lot of pictures. Sometimes there's a duplicacy of the pictures on their phone. You want to delete it. Maybe going forward, the duplication of your pictures, which are very similar, are automatically deleted or something. It's already happening, right? So there are plenty of use cases one can deep dive into. But again, I'll go to the audience again, but one striking thing what we can discuss today is we talk about large language models. It's a bit technical. There are close to like 200 large language models globally right now. We talk about billions of parameters that will be there on the device. But how about the real essence of these? Like, we talk about large language models, and there are SLMs, right? And there are a couple of models that will coexist on the device. Like one of the launches, they have Gemini as well. They have their own models as well. And talking in context of India, we have like 22 different languages, right? Do you think India needs a model on its own when it comes to this large language model, and how that is going to impact the overall AI experience on the device? Sort of to start with you.
I think it's not, time is not far away where developers will start building their own, localized AI models. And then, as I said, at our Qualcomm AI Hub, we are technology enabler. They can go, train themselves, run on our chipsets easily. It's an easy, peasy job.
Yeah. Himanshu?
And I also heard, I think one of the big corporates, Reliance, is also working in their own AI software experience, right? So I think India being totally different kind of a country with 22 languages that you mentioned, a lot of diversity would certainly require a personalized AI ecosystem. And I think a lot of big players in the market will certainly work on it, and it has a potential to create that disruption, especially under 15K segment.
And we are not very far away from, this. Shan, your take on, does India need a localized model to be run on these devices? Like, for example, China has the Baidu and Alibaba's. Even the global players, they need to partner with them. Even like we are hearing the rumor on Apple partnering with them. Samsung did with Baidu. Do you think India needs the one large language model as well that needs to be on the device and make it more easier and accessible?
I really don't know like how. I think the other leaders, they might be knowing about this thing, but there is always an opportunity which we could see and which we can build and which we have done in past. So I think it will be able to do.
Yeah, cool. So I'm getting this prompt, like now we'll hand over to the audience if there are any questions. So since this is an interesting topic, AI, everyone has some kind of thoughts about it. Is there any question you would like to ask the panelists, and then we can, you can raise your hand and stand and introduce yourself.
Hi. Hello. My name is Aryan Kumar, and basically we have seen Google and ChatGPT both offering premium model services. Like certain features would be restricted to the lower tier, and we have premium features. So if we are going on device, so we have the processing capabilities, like higher processing capabilities. So if we are going for the premium plans or the lower plans which are free, if you're buying our device, you'll get this feature, but if you want more features, then you have to buy this plan. So is there anything which Qualcomm or any other brand is looking forward? Like we have niche market for this.
Very interesting question.
Good question, but as I said, we don't define, what a customer going to charge. We are technology enablers. Obviously, it's a prerogative of the company, how much they want to charge, because AI is all about real estate, right? Data sitting and going on a server, it's expensive. You're doing on device, it's cheaper because you're not using their servers. So definitely it should be cheaper, but we don't define it.
Yeah, just building on that question, I think from a partnership point of view, I think brands do a lot of partnership with these players, and certainly it also depends upon what is the costing and what is the cost of partnership that is being involved. So generally, when we are making this kind of a decision, we restrict. If we are basically giving a premium services that you mentioned right now, which is paid, are restricted to high-end devices where there is a high ROI for that particular device. So it all depends upon what is the ROI and what is the partnership deal that is being done by two brands. Just giving you an example, right? Last year it was a 5G wave. We wanted to democratize 5G, right? We tied up with Airtel as a partnership, and we started giving discount specifically on an Airtel lock device. That is because of the partnership that we did with Airtel, so that lower strata of the society start using 5G device. It helps both the players. It helps us to sell more, and it helps Airtel to get new customers. So it has to be a win-win situation for both the players to get into this kind of a partnership.
Yeah, interesting. So it will be more like a partnership-driven model. I think a part of your question is interesting, like because Microsoft already started doing this with Copilot as a service, right? Whether we are going to see those kind of models on the phone, one can debate that in future, you don't need to download any app on your phone. The concept of Play Stores or even App Stores is gone completely. Voice will be your input mechanism. I think every tech transition, there is a difference in terms of input mechanism. The first 2G, there was more like a like QWERTY type of phones, right? And then it changed to touch when it comes to 4G. 5G and 6G, I think we might be completely transformed into voice as an input mechanism. You no longer need to book Uber while doing 6, 7 steps. You might just say, book my Uber where I am to my home. And then while doing so, the partnership in the community is evolved that it is on a chargeable basis. You might be paying for certain apps, but then you'll be paying for AI as a service. But like Saurabh mentioned, component players won't be deciding that part. I think this is largely based on the OEMs and the software developers. I think developers has a larger role to play. And I'm more interested to hear if there is any developer here in this room and hear their viewpoints on that as well.
No, Darun, I just want to add to his question, right? It all depends how they can make revenue. Is it showing ads? There'll be a free download. You watch ads and keep using it. For premium, you may need to pay it.
Yeah, true. Any other question? Okay, there's a hand over there.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. Great session. I just had one question. With AI, a large focus is on personalization and recommendation apps, right? That requires collecting a lot of data from users. So how do you guys see solving the problem of data privacy versus also creating a powerful recommendation engine, for example?
If I'm not understanding, can you repeat again?
Yeah, sure. So AI, one of the biggest focus of AI is also creating tailored apps, tailored features, which will be more personalized towards the users.
Correct.
Right? So that requires collecting a lot of data.
Yes.
For example, these could also happen on device as well as on server.
Right.
But how do you see the problem of data privacy that these devices will be collecting so much of data?
So the entire machine learning will be actually based on your data, and it will feed on your data and become even more smarter, basically. And then how you are protecting that data. I think part of that you mentioned on the on-device thing, but if you can go deeper on that.
No, I mean, your data is not going out. So I'll give you an example. There would be apps, I don't know, because it's a green field right now. So think of an app where you feed your 10 or 15 different poses of photos, right? You want to do a shopping experience. What kind of an outfit would look best on you? It will predict you, with your images, right? I mean, probably if you have a sporty photo, you want to try a sports dress, it will show you how you look. So you can make those decisions. But the bottom line is the data is not leaving your device. Yeah. It's private.
Yeah, if it is on-device
yeah.
processing,
correct.
The data is not. If the processing is happening on the cloud, then you need to check, obviously, the brand where the data center is, where the storage is happening, if it is locally, and what kind of privacy elements are involved over there.
In both the cases, user needs to give a consent. Whether you are making your data go to a server out of your phone, or even for your usage on your phone, there will be a consent. Whether you are ready to give your data for training your own model on your device.
So basically, think of you want to make an Instagram reel based on the last 15 pictures you have clicked. Your data is not leaving outside. It just come on Instagram like you would have predicted it. Anything else? I saw a hand at the back. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, one more question. So we have seen AI exist for a number of years, right? In format of predictive analysis, in format of machine learning. Why is it only now that AI has gotten such a big hype and like people are really focusing into it? Is there a particular reason to that?
Yeah, I think very pertinent question. I still remember in 2017 when we launched F1, we had an AI feature of Gcam in that particular device. And it's not that AI was not available for last few years. We had speech recognition, image detection, right? All these features were still available. But I think one or two key apps, basically it's a ChatGPT because it is trying to replicate the human behavior. So the system was getting intelligent for last few years, and with data collection methodology, improvement in processing, the system has become even more intelligent right now. So what we are trying to do from an AI perspective, from an HyperOS perspective, is to make this phone as an intelligent device and be very closer to what human basically thinks, right? So we are not yet, there yet, but from our perspective, we see that AI is moving to a totally different direction, and the leaps and bounds of improvement that has happened in the last few years, and the new software, ChatGPT and all, have gained a lot of traction because of the use cases. That's why I think this has gained a lot of traction right now.
Yeah. I think it's also about the processing capability, like you said. We were not talking about NPUs a long time back, right? Now you have a dedicated NPU on your phone that will be taking some of these tasks along with the GPU. There are obviously certain tasks that can be done through CPU. So your phones are getting more and more powerful day by day. And the entire technology is diffusing towards the low price tier. And like 3 years back, the average RAM specification on your phone was like 2.5, 3 GB. You can't run a powerful system on your phone with a RAM constraint with that much. I think that is also, your hardwares are evolving. I think software is getting better. And this could be one of the reasons that why, like Himanshu mentioned over there. Anything else?
Hi, hello. So my question is कि like जैसे कि अब जो AI है वो काफ़ी एडवांस हो चुका है. So उसमें सिक्योरिटी और जो प्राइवेसी है उसका क्या? Because recently I saw a video of Nikhil Kamath where he posted on his Instagram and he said like that was a like 2 to 3 minutes video, and in the last he said this video is not mine, this video is generated by AI. So like उसमें हम मतलब जो AI का ऐसा था कि हम 15 images कोई भी इसमें डाल के एंड कुछ वॉइस डाल के हम किसी की भी वीडियो बना सकते हो. तो इस तरीके से तो ये एक सिक्योरिटी जो प्राइवेसी ख़त्म ही हो चुकी है.
Right. I think this is more scary part of AI when we started. Anyone, Sharon, you want to talk about it, or any of you can take it and.
See, how I look after is pros cons तो होता ही है हर product में whatever you come up with, right? But again, how we are able to tackle this and how we are bringing up this, there is a differentiator always. People used to get to know. Like even from there were many recent scenarios which happened with couple of celebrities also with respect to AI. But eventually it comes into limelight because of there is some differentiator what brings this product is actually being driven by this AI tech. So that's how I look after it.
And I think government is also intervening in this one, and they're bringing a regulation, and they're bringing a, I don't whether or not they're bringing a law in this, but they are certainly working on this because there has been few instances in the past, recent few months back, where one of the actresses' video got viral and it was being circulated in the media, and there was a case on the person who has made it, and they are working on it. And then from a government point of view, they are making an intervention to make sure that although we are working on AI, it doesn't get into the wrong hands and people start using it in a wrong way.
Yeah, very interesting point. I think the danger of this deep fakes is very much relevant, and I think that is where the regulation comes into picture. Some of the countries like Europe has already started regulating your AI on that space, and I think we are not that far as well, where in India AI will be regulated in a way. Maybe in future, if any photo that is being generated through this, that has some kind of mark on it, like it is AI generated image or something like that, so that people know that this is something which is generated through data. So that is, but like Saurav said, there are pros and cons, and as of now, we think the positives outweighs the negatives, but who knows in future.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. I ask you one question. So many companies develop own OS, mean Xiaomi, own IoT. मतलब IoT में जितने भी उनके वो प्रोडक्ट हैं, सैमसंग के हैं और ये अपने हुआवे है, मतलब ये सारे अपने वो बना रहे हैं, अपने सॉफ्टवेयर अपने लिए जो, उसलिए AI का बहुत ज़्यादा वो नहीं होगा डाटा का, मतलब लीक और समथिंग अपने जैसे हैंडसन यूज़ करते हैं हम, प्राइवेसी ख़त्म हो जाएगी, या अपने जो डिजिटल ट्रांजेक्शंस होती हैं उसके लिए बारे में भी कुछ होगा?
So Himanshu, I think same. There's a connect to all the questions, which is privacy. Talking about like OS and the UIs of the world, right? So we have again very rightly put.
IoT वो होते हैं जो
UI. So maybe you can take an example of HyperOS as an example, and then.
So basically, there are certain features I mentioned in my first answer also, right? that use cases for when we are talking about AI. Security, I think one of the key use cases, and as I think Saurabh rightly mentioned that the intention from an AI perspective is to keep the data on the device. So major amount of work is being done to keep the data on the device. That is from a security point of view. That is one thing. And so if you have seen the HyperOS features in global as compared to India, we do a due diligence with regards to what are the features which are not basically using the data points and breaching the laws of the country. So, and that's why certain use cases that are applicable in rest of the world or global, if you see the HyperOS use cases in global or test cases of image processing in global, they are not readily available in India because of this privacy concerns. So a lot of R&D investment are being done from an India specific perspective to make sure that they are compliant with the Indian laws.
एक यूज़र कभी भी एक पे नहीं रहता, जैसे कभी आज Xiaomi पे है, कभी उस पे Samsung पे आ गया, कभी इस पे आ गया, तो मतलब ब्रीच कहीं ना कहीं तो होगा ना इस चीज़ का.
But if let's say if you're on a same operating system, let's say if you have a Xiaomi device or a Xiaomi ecosystem products, right? They use the same. They will be using a same layer, that is the Xiaomi HyperOS, and with that, I think the experience would be same and the data collection process would be same, and it will be linked to your unique identify, for example, me ID, right? So, and that will be the source of information that this is the user pattern of that particular unique identity.
Thank you.
Still have time for a few more questions before we wrap up, so just in case.
Check. When do you see smartphones moving towards intelligent phones? Like, what would be the timeline when we can call them intelligent instead of smart? Like, they are able to think and decide for you as per your usage patterns.
So you want to, when you really point a smartphone as an intelligent smartphone, so gone are the days of the smartphone, so he's saying intelligent phones. When are we going to call them, like any timeline in future or?
No, I think your smartphones are already intelligent, right? It depends up to what level it will go. I think day by day with the data, your devices are getting intelligent, right? Right now, even Google gives you prompts.
Yeah.
That's all on the servers. But that's what, as I was saying, you know, with more personalization, it will get smarter day by day.
Right. So it will be more personalized going forward.
Yeah. And I think I get your question that how do you make it more intelligent? I'm not talking only about smartphones, but from an overall AI perspective, that as we feed in more data into that system, it will try to be closer to what human beings are thinking. And as and when Saurabh mentioned, right, more and more data, more and more personalized information the system collects, and it is and we behave same way as the data is being projected us to behave. I think it will become even more closer to the actual human being and actual human brain. It will take some time, but I think we are moving in that direction.
Yeah, well said. So before we quickly wrap up, a audience poll, right? How many of you think that AI and smartphones are going to be the perfect combos where the positives will outweigh the negative? Just raise your hand who think it is positive. Great, I think we did a good job. Good. And
hi, one last question. My name is Guneet, and I actually wanted to know that, okay, so implementing AI chatbots in these days is no-brainer, and all the organizations are willing to go ahead for that. How do we make sure that these systems are not hallucinating and not giving out false informations? And how do we make sure that we are knowing if they're giving false information?
Okay. How do we make sure that these chatbots and everything what we are designing are not giving us the fake information? I think entirely dependent on which data set you feed them. So Himanshu, very quick one, just within a minute or so. One of you, any one of you.
I think that's how, I mean, it all depends how you train your data. That is the bottom line. I think if you take an example of HyperOS, there are been training, you know, based on AI models, making it smarter. I think if you can, you know.
Yeah, so it all depends upon the input metrics that we input in the system, right? So if the input matrix is solid, and the input matrix is constantly being refined, the output will be in the similar proportion. And that is why R&D, significant amount of testing and R&D investment in basically given to the system to make it more intelligent and making sure that the input that you're putting into the system is the right input matrix. So yeah, overall that's how we basically fine-tuning the overall system.
So one line answer, AI and smartphones, perfect combo or not, Sharon? Yes or no?
Definitely yes. Everyone will say yes only.
Okay.
100% yes.
100% yes.
Definitely, that's the future.
Okay, cool. So we'll end this more on the optimistic note. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. I think we had a great session. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Great response.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having us here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being this attentive. Thank you for being this engaging. We end this session. We end what we have here. And please, we've seen a lot of you taking photos of us. Post all of them on social media. Use the hashtag NDTV Gadgets360 Awards, NDTV Gadgets360, NDTV differently. And Baki, if you want, you can ask each one of us our individual Instagram IDs as well. But thank you so very much. Please make sure you're all in a very orderly fashion when you exit the hall. Do not create commotions. And we would like you to socialize outside as well. But thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you.